We have with us Scott Johnson. He is the founder, president of Myelin Repair Foundation. That's going to change and impact the lives of hundreds of thousands of people around the world, hopefully. Let's hear about it from Scott himself. Scott, welcome.
Hi, Mateen. Thank you very much. Well, I'm going to correct you. We think we are going to have an impact on literally billions of lives, because what's amazing is that the process for making medical discoveries and translating those to usable information that a pharmaceutical company can think about moving forward, I'd say it's really a broken system. I mean, interestingly enough, in the last 10 years, the amount of money spent on academic medical research has doubled in real terms, but the number of new approvals has actually been flat. And so to me, that's a sign that a system is not working.
If I may take you on a little bit of a personal journey, this came out because of a personal incident, and as I was talking to you earlier, it's not just going to impact the research on multiple sclerosis, but on various other nerve-related diseases. But I just wanted you to, if you may, share with us the incident that inspired.
Sure. I was diagnosed with MS when I was 20 years old, so I've had it many years. I feel fortunate that I can still walk. Many people who've had it as long as I have are in much more worse situation than I am. I was fortunate that I could pursue a business career, and did so for a couple of decades. And in that career, I founded a couple of other startups, or ran a couple of other startups. And I really never anticipated ever working in a nonprofit full-time or being involved in academic medical research. So this is kind of a complete switch. And it was really inspired by simply reading a little article, and that drove me to do something entirely different, and to focus 100% of my energies on trying to develop a model that would improve the speed at which treatments could be developed for all diseases.
Speaking of the model, I would wish you can elaborate more on that, so we understand, how this is going to change and revolutionize.
Sure. When we started, we were focused entirely on the front end of the process, and so one thing that I think is interesting is that no disease organization, no nonprofit actually has a research plan. Even the NIH does not have a research plan. And so how can you possibly get to a treatment if you don't have a plan? So that to me was one of the first things that seemed to be wrong with the system. The second is that virtually a very small percentage of academic medical discoveries get patented. And most academics think that's a good thing, because they think that'll get information out there to the public faster. What they don't realize is that no company is going to invest hundreds of millions of dollars to develop a drug unless they have clear ownership of the underlying intellectual property. So one thing that we do very different is that we protect all the discoveries that are made, and we control that IP so that we can license it to companies. Another thing is that most disease organizations use the NIH peer review method to give out grant money. And unfortunately, virtually no breakthrough experiment will even be proposed to the NIH or to the American Cancer Society or any disease organization that uses that model, because it won't pass peer review. If someone on the committee doesn't quite get why that out-of-the-box experiment might make a dramatic impact, it won't get a high enough score to get funded. So what we wanted to do was instead pick stellar scientists and trust them to do good science. But it's not just trust, it's kind of what we call trust but verify. I mean, we are very actively involved with the scientists we fund. I kind of liken the current model that most use as kind of fund and forget. A lot of time is spent up front analyzing whether they should give the money. Once the money's given, it's assumed that if the experiment is successful, there'll be a paper come out. We are very actively involved with our team. We have a collaborative team across many different disciplines to attack the research plan that we worked with them to put together.
So I see it as a double advantage for you, if I may say so. One is you've been an entrepreneur yourself, so you have seen the cycle, and it's easier to deal when you come to the other side of the coin. and the other is you have dealt with this problem yourself very bravely all these years. You have seen both sides of it. Do you think this adds to the advantage of taking the organization to the next level?
Absolutely, and I think actually the fact that I had no experience in the nonprofit world or no experience in even the academic medical research and no experience in the pharmaceutical industry actually helped, because on our panel today we were talking about innovation, and I think the fact that I didn't know what I didn't know, I just tried to come at this from a logical perspective in terms of how could I think of applying basic business principles to speed up the process. And so we try and speed up not just the process of funding the basic scientists in the university environment, we also have spent a lot of time in the last couple of years figuring out how we can cross what's known as the valley of death, how we can take those discoveries that are made in academic labs and validate them and develop enough data around them so that a company will actually consider in-licensing them. Because most academics think that if they make a great discovery, somehow it's just going to get picked up and move forward. Unfortunately, there's over 800,000 papers published a year, and industry really can't sift through those. So what they really need to see is a much more comprehensive data package. But academics can't get that. You can't get funding to do an experiment multiple times in many different models to industry standards. So what we do as a foundation, we actually set up a network of contract research organizations, and we take those discoveries and we can get a lot more data developed around that so that a company can actually look at our discoveries and say, that does look like it has potential, and then they can think about in-licensing.
Okay. I think lastly I have to ask this question because we are at Tycoon and we inspire and aspire entrepreneurs everywhere through our ecosystem. And the whole idea is people like you coming here and trying to like I said, mentor and inspire up-and-coming entrepreneurs. But in your particular vertical, the cycle is too long, and there's a lot of funding required. And people who are really enthusiastic about supporting the cause kind of shy away after a little while. So if in front of a huge challenge, what would you advise if you see a very energetic, enthusiastic entrepreneur or wannabe entrepreneur coming and say, well, these are the challenges. Do you want me to stick around, or how long can I keep doing this?
You're right. The cycle times are long, and it is difficult. And I think others have talked about today the fact that keeping funding going in this environment is not easy, and we're talking about very big dollars and very long payouts. So it is difficult, especially compared to other technology areas where the time frames are shorter. I think that's one thing, again, that we're trying to address as a nonprofit, because I think that if we were a for-profit venture capital funded entity, we would pretty quickly have to choose one horse that we were going to ride. And I think that one thing we really feel fortunate and that we can exploit as a nonprofit is our objective is to form partnerships with at least 4 or 5 commercial companies, large pharmaceutical companies, and with each of those be moving 3 or 4 targets forward. Because for us, truly it is a game of getting shots on goal. In a for-profit, you're not allowed that strategy, but in a not-profit, we do have that luxury in a way. And so that's what we're trying to do that's very different, and we're trying to provide opportunities for those companies. Our objective really is to help improve the pipelines of the pharmaceutical industry, to be able to feed them good targets. And I think being a nonprofit is really uniquely is a unique position, and there's certain attributes of that no other player in the value chain has. And whether you're an academic or the FDA or a commercial company or a physician, we have certain things that we can do as a nonprofit that we feel fortunate about.
Scott, it's a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you. Very, very nice to meet you and talk. Thank you.